Welcome to Manotick StringWorks. Please remember to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell for more video content. Hey, welcome back. So here's the next part in this Peavey Grind 5-string series. So the last time we left off with the installation of these new tuners, open gear Wilkinson tuners. Clean the fretboard and the frets with steel wool. It's a nice matte finish. And I've taken off the strings as well, and I was able to, using a different truss rod I found in my drawer, tighten the existing nut so that we have some tension on the neck. Now, I do have a replacement nut. I was able to find one in my stash. Here it is. So we're going to use that in here, but first we have to help this neck get into a back bow before we tighten that truss rod. Alright, well, let's get started. Alright, so let me walk you through the setup here. So I've got my big workbench with a foamy pad. I'm going to put the bass down one end. I've made a support right here that has leather liner. I'm just going to put that right here in the middle of the neck. Now what I want to do, the idea here is that I want to clamp down the body, and then I want to force the neck into a back bow by leveraging it over this support right here. So I've got a couple of clamps in a bench, some leather pads. I'll put these on. Not too tight, but just tight enough to hold the body, prevent it from moving. And then up here by the neck, I've got another clamp. And these I've modified so I can actually use them in the bench. Right through the bench like this. Move that over a bit. So I'm going to use this clamp to force the neck down so we can get that back bow. Be a little better than me trying to hold it and then turn the truss rod as well. So let me just put a little piece of leather right here. I'm doing it on the fingerboard, not on the headstock. I don't want to put pressure on the headstock really. Okay. So I'm just going to leave it like that for a minute. Okay, so as it is now, with the tension that we have on the truss rod, the old truss rod nut, using a straight edge, there's no rock, and basically touching the frets everywhere. I've got a 4/1000 feeler gauge, super thin, and I can't get it under anywhere. So that means this neck is nice and flat the way it is. But what we need is an up bow. So I need this neck to be in an up bow, and then we tighten the truss rod all the way, and then we let it sit. And then that means we can, once we get string tension on it, we'll be able to release the truss rod, and that will give us the relief that we need. So if it's just straight and the strings pull it up and tension, we might not have enough torque, if you will, with the truss rod nut to get it back to where we want it. So I'd rather it be in that back bow position so the string tension will pull it up flat or just past flat. We might not even need to adjust the truss rod after, but the hope is that we have adjustability for the future. Alright, so I'm going to put this support somewhere around the 9th, 10th, probably the 10th fret. seems to be about the middle of this fingerboard, 10th, 11th fret, right about there. And then when we push down on it, so we're holding the body with the clamps, and we're going to put it in that back bow position. That should help us out. So to do that, I'm going to use a clamp, and I've modified these clamps to fit through my bench. Put that in. And then the clamp will be putting the pressure down, not me trying to push and hold and everything like that. So I'll just put a little piece of leather here between the face of the clamp and the fingerboard. Put that in position. Okay, so it's just resting on it now. Everything's good at the body end. So now I need to remove the old truss rod nut. And again, remember this was stripped out pretty bad, so this wrench seems to be the magic wrench here. Gets in there and grabs whatever is left on this truss rod nut, so that's good. But I don't want to rely on this particular wrench in the future, right? So somebody, so look at that, I'll get it closer. So if this guitar changes hands and someone wants to adjust it, or a future tech does. So here's the new truss rod nut. It's the same length, it's 25 millimeters, about 1 inch. It doesn't have this little shoulder here, this rounded shoulder, it's just flat. And I actually got this out of my stock when I disassemble old guitars, and I usually don't throw away parts. And I'm pretty lucky because I was trying to find this online, and so 10/32 thread, 4 millimeter hex, and 25 millimeter long. There are not many around, certainly not in North America. So it would have cost a lot of money, and then to ship it and all that. So I was lucky to have one. So anyways, we're going to put that in right here. So I'll just push it up against gently. And I'm just going to get it started here so that as soon as I feel it start to really resist, I'm going to stop. We're just getting it on the truss rod. Make sure it's threaded properly. Oh, there we go. Now it's starting to engage. I'll leave it like that. Just back it off maybe a little bit. There we go. Okay, so I know for sure that this isn't doing anything. So now what I want to do is we're going to put some pressure on this clamp, and that's going to give us a back bow. Not a big one, but enough that it'll help us with our adjustments. So let me give it a squeeze. There it goes. You can see it moving. So really, the way you check now is using a straight edge. Put it across your frets. Oh, there we go. We're rocking now. We weren't rocking before. And if I take that feeler gauge, I'm sure we're going to see it slide under in a few places. Yeah, look at that. So really what I want is it to not really slide under right there. So here we are, 10th fret, right about the middle. And then it's going to start to slide under again. So that's pretty good. So that's a little back bow. I might put a little more on it, so just give it another little squeeze. Just like that. You definitely have a back bow here now, right? Okay. So now we have achieved our back bow. So what I want to do with the truss rod nut now is to crank it all the way clockwise, so righty-tighty, and get it to its maximum position. And again, I don't want to strip this out. We're just trying to get it so it's good and tight, and that it should hold this position now. So if I release this a little bit, yeah, it's going to come up a little bit. But we should still be in a back bow position without the clamp on it, of course. Yeah. There we go. Okay, well, I think I might squeeze it down a little more and then try So I'm going to release this again, truss rod. Again, I don't want to strip this new nut out, right? So make sure you get that wrench in there well. Okay, there we go. Okay, there's no pressure on there now. Alright, let's get a little more on that. Okay, I'm trying to get that bow right in the middle. There we go. Okay. And let me tighten this truss rod nut again. Put that wrench right in there. There we go. Probably could go another 1/8 of a turn, but I'm going to stop there. Okay. There we go. That was a little tough to get out. Taking all the pressure off the clamp. There should still be in a back bow here. Okay. Okay, well, the next thing to do is to string it up and see if we have that adjustment that we're looking for. If we don't, we can do this again, put a little more pressure on it, tighten it down. Maybe that's what we need. You can only tell once we get the strings back on. Well, it's always a surprise when you're fixing your guitar or bass. So far the neck's been a bit of a surprise, and when I took off the strings, all the string ferrules came with them. So that's, this guitar I think is about, close to 20 years old. And it's all wood, of course, so, subject to seasonal variation. So really I think they're usually just a press fit. But I think, the wood is dried out, it is winter time. And they just decide to pop out. So I think what I'll do is put just a little dab of super glue, CA glue there, and just have them sit back in there. So they can pop out again if we have to pull them out. It's not going to cause an issue, but just to hold them in place. Of course the strings hold them there, but when I flip this over and I want to put strings through, they're going to come out. Plus I'm probably not going to go through the body again. I'm going to top load them. I prefer top loading than going through the body. Puts less stress on the string and it's just easier to get at. So I just don't want these falling out. So I will put a little dab of super glue in there just to keep them in place. So super glue is really messy stuff and it could ruin your day if you're not careful. So I like to keep it away from the body. And here I'm just going to put a little bit on this piece of steel wire and just put on the inside of the string through hole. Try not to get too many strings of glue coming out of there. Okay, and I'll just put that in and let that sit for 10-15 minutes. Again, like I said, it's messy stuff, so you don't want to get this all over the body of the guitar. Believe me, I have made a mess with this stuff. Definitely has its uses. Alright, I'll do the rest of them. Alright, we've got those string ferrules back in place. Pull this tape off. We use that to prevent any metal filings from the steel wool. Get attracted to the coils in these pickups. And so now we'll restring it, and I'm going to string it through the back of the body, but of course notice something else. Look, hear that? Let me bring you in closer. So these individual bridge saddles, if you will, they're all loose and they're screw holes. Again, that's a seasonal thing, most likely. So I'm going to tighten these down. But this is one of those little hidden things that you'd be wondering, why is this bass not staying in tune? And it's because your bridge is moving around. These, bridge is supposed to be one of the most stable parts of the body, right? Of the whole construction of the bass. So if this is moving around, that means your strings aren't going to vibrate as well. It's the whole point, these high mass bridges and things. It's to transfer that energy back into the guitar. So you really want to make sure these are good and tight. Okay, well, it's good for now. Okay, so I had loosened up these saddles here to move them around to get at the screws. So this is a 35-inch scale length. So I put the saddle here on the first string right at 35 inches from the nut face, or where the nut face should be. And that's the wrong thing I'm tightening. This has a little side adjustment here, so I'm going to try not to move it as I tighten it. There we go. These aren't the most friendly things to adjust. Obviously, I prefer like a Fender style bridge with individual screws and springs. But it is what it is. So, maybe we'll change this to a proper bridge at some point. Alright, so I'll get that one where 35 inches should be. And then these other ones, I'm just going to guesstimate. They all should come back from that first string, right? So I'll put this. We'll put the D here. So we'll give it some sort of intonation, approximate intonation. So it doesn't sound way too crazy when we first put the strings on, try and tune it up. And the B string, well, that's going to be pretty far back, so it's probably around here anyway, so I'm going to leave it there. Again, these are starting points. Of course, before we put the strings on, we need to put the nut back on. So I just cleaned it up a little bit. And we're going to need to adjust the depth of the nut slots anyway, so we're going to use a little CA glue again. Again, a little dab will do you don't need a ton. So I'm just going to put a couple of dabs right on the base and where it meets the face of the fretboard. Of course, the strings hold the nut down, but you just don't want it sliding around, right? I think I need a new bottle of CA glue. This one is just giving me fits here. Alright, that should be enough. Just enough, a little dab will do you. Okay. And again, you can fit this by feel like that, you know right away if it's in the right spot. Okay. I'll just hold that there for 30 seconds. That should be more than enough to hold it in place. Like I said, the strings will keep it there too. Alright, now we can string it up. Alright, so I'm going to put the strings back on, but again I'm going to use the top loading method. I prefer that. Alright, so we'll get all the strings back on and then we'll see if we can set this up. Alright, so just the first string, the G string. I'm going to tune these up. And then let's see where we are with our neck relief. It's already feeling better. It's low, so that's good. It's a good sign. Alright, so how did we do here? So we're all tuned up. Put the capo on the first fret. I'll start with the 12 thousandths. So I'll use the E string at the 7th fret, push down the body. It's just touching, just barely. You can hear it. Yeah. So that's a big improvement because we were at like 24 or 30 thousandths before. So that's a good sign. So we're gonna have to let this sit for a while. You know, I've noticed a couple other things. I mean, the height of the saddles, I'm pretty much dropped all these down all the way, so you know, those could go down a little bit. Also, I noticed that the action at the first fret, right, the nut action, is super high. So if we adjust the nut, that's going to bring all of this down as well, right? So I'm happy with the relief the way it is, and I think we'll call this video done for now. I'm going to let it sit overnight and check it again tomorrow. If I need to, I can always do this process again, bend the neck into that back bow, tighten up the truss rod a little more, and then we'll get that little extra relief. But like I said, there's a few other things that need to be done on this bass, so I think we'll tackle those in the next video. Alright, so thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.